It was a Monday morning like any other in Raina Monroe's small, cluttered kitchen in suburban Ohio. Cereal crunched underfoot, spilled in the chaos of the morning rush. Shoelaces dangled untied, and Raina muttered a prayer as she slapped together a peanut butter sandwich for her 6-year-old daughter, Laya's, school lunch. The air smelled of burnt toast and the faint lavender of Laya's shampoo as she sat at the table, swinging her legs, her backpack already slung over one shoulder. "Mommy," Laya said, her voice cutting through the morning din, "I met someone today who looks exactly like me." Raina barely looked up from tying Laya's sneakers, her fingers fumbling with the laces. "Oh yeah, honey," she said, distracted, her mind already racing toward the day's endless to-do list: work, groceries, bills. "What's her name?" "Maya," Laya replied, her tone unusually serious for a 6-year-old. "She has the same eyes, same laugh, same voice. It's like she's me." Raina paused for a fraction of a second, a smile tugging at her lips. Kids and their imaginations, she thought. "Maybe she just looks a little like you, sweetie," she said, brushing a stray curl from Laya's forehead. "Lots of people look alike." "No, Mommy," Laya insisted, her brown eyes wide and unyielding. "It's like looking in a mirror." A faint chill prickled Raina's spine, but she shook it off. Laya was 6, full of stories about fairies, talking animals, and now, apparently, a mysterious doppelganger. Raina finished tying the shoe, gave Laya a quick kiss on the forehead, and hustled her out the door to catch the school bus. The moment passed, swallowed by the rhythm of their ordinary life. But Laya's words lingered, a quiet echo in Raina's mind as she drove to her job at the local library. By the time she stood at the school gates that afternoon, waiting for Laya's familiar bounce to emerge from the sea of children, she'd nearly forgotten the morning's conversation. The gates opened, and kids spilled out in a colorful blur of backpacks and laughter. Raina scanned the crowd, her paper coffee cup warm in her hand. Then she saw them. Her coffee slipped from her fingers, splashing across the pavement. There, walking hand in hand with Laya, was a little girl who could have been her daughter's reflection. Same chestnut curls, same dimple on the left cheek, same tiny, crescent-shaped birthmark on the right collarbone. It wasn't a resemblance, it was Laya, duplicated. Raina's legs wobbled as her brain struggled to process the impossible. "Mommy," Laya beamed, tugging the other girl forward. "This is Maya." Maya gave a shy wave, her eyes, Laya's eyes, meeting Raina's with a quiet curiosity. Raina's breath caught in her throat. A teacher, Mrs. Callahan, noticed her stunned expression and approached, her smile warm but oblivious. "Everything all right, Ms. Monroe?" she asked. Raina's voice cracked, barely a whisper. Who is that child?" "Oh, that's Maya Carter, Mrs. Callahan said cheerfully. "She just transferred here 2 weeks ago. Sweet girl. She's been with her foster parents for a while now. Poor thing's been in the system since she was a newborn." "Foster," Raina repeated, her heart hammering so loudly she barely heard the teacher's next words. "Yes, abandoned at a hospital right after birth. Her file's full of question marks, I'm afraid." Raina couldn't breathe. The world tilted, the chatter of children fading into a dull roar. She managed a nod, her eyes locked on Maya, who stood clutching Laya's hand as if it were a lifeline. Raina forced a smile, ushering the girls toward the car, her mind spiraling into memories she'd buried 6 years ago. That night, after Laya was tucked into bed, Raina sat on the edge of her own mattress, a shoebox of baby photos open beside her. She traced her fingers over a picture of newborn Laya, swaddled in a hospital blanket, her tiny face scrunched in a wail. The memories flooded back: Laya's birth, the chaos of the NICU, the alarms, the nurses' panicked voices. Raina had been 22, alone, terrified. She'd gone into labor too early, her twins born fragile and fighting for life. She remembered the cold blue lights, the sterile smell, the doctor's voice delivering the news she'd carried like a stone ever since. "We did everything we could, but one of your girls didn't make it." One twin, Laya's sister, gone before Raina could even hold her. Raina had believed them. She'd had no reason not to. She'd been too broken, too medicated, too stunned to question the hospital's account. She'd poured all her love into Laya, building a life for the two of them, stitching together the pieces of her shattered heart. But now, staring at Maya's face in her memory, those eyes, that birthmark, Raina couldn't shake the impossible thought clawing at her. Was it possible? Could Maya be? She shook her head, whispering to herself, it's not possible. It can't be. But deep down, in the place where mothers know without proof, Raina already suspected the truth. The next morning, Raina acted on instinct. She contacted a private DNA testing service, her hands trembling as she filled out the forms online. She reached out to Maya's foster parents, a kind but weary couple in their 50s, and explained her request. They were hesitant but agreed to the test, moved by Raina's quiet desperation. Raina didn't tell Laya or anyone else, not her sister, not her coworkers, not even her own mother. She couldn't bear to speak the hope aloud, not yet. The wait for the results was agony. Raina threw herself into distractions, scrubbing the kitchen until it gleamed, cooking enough lasagna to feed a small army, calling her sister, Tara, just to hear a familiar voice. But nothing silenced the ticking clock in her mind. Every laugh from Laya, every bedtime story, every hug felt like an echo of something missing, something stolen. Raina would catch herself staring at Laya, searching her daughter's face for clues, as if the truth might be written in her dimples. On the 8th day, an email arrived. The subject line was clinical, impersonal, DNA test results, Maya Carter and Raina Monroe. Raina's hand shook as she clicked it open, the screen loading with agonizing slowness. Her heart pounded, her breath shallow, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Then the words appeared, stark and undeniable, probability of full sibling match, 99.99987%. Relationship, monozygotic twins. Raina's laptop slipped from her hands, clattering to the floor. Her knees buckled, and she sank to the carpet, sobs tearing out of her, raw, unstoppable. She hadn't cried when they told her the second baby was gone. Back then, she'd been too numb, too hollowed out by grief. But now, the truth crashed over her like a tidal wave. Maya was hers, her daughter, her flesh and blood, alive all this time, lost in the foster system, unprotected, unloved, because someone had made a horrific mistake. The memories assaulted her, the NICU's chaos, the alarms, the nurses rushing, the confusion. They'd handed her Laya, told her the other twin hadn't survived. But Maya had survived. She'd been taken, or lost, in the madness. Raina didn't know how, not yet, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty: she was going to bring her daughter home. That afternoon, Raina called the foster agency, her voice steady for the first time in days. "I need to speak to someone immediately," she said. "It's about Maya Carter. I have her DNA test results. She's my daughter." The woman on the other end gasped, a beat of silence stretching over the line. "Please hold. I'm transferring you to legal." What followed was a whirlwind of bureaucracy, meetings, paperwork, caseworkers crowding Raina's small living room. She learned fragments of Maya's story, found as a newborn, wrapped in a hospital-issued blanket, left at a fire station in the dead of night. No one had connected her to Raina's missing twin. No one had thought to question the hospital's records. Raina didn't care about blame, not yet. She only wanted Maya. She was granted supervised visitation first. The foster center was a gray, sterile building that smelled of disinfectant and regret. Raina's heart raced as she walked in, clutching a small stuffed rabbit she'd bought on impulse. She spotted Maya immediately, sitting alone at a table, a worn picture book in her hands. The girl looked up, her eyes, Raina's eyes, locking onto her. A small, hesitant smile curved Maya's lips. "I know you," Maya said softly, tilting her head. "You're mommy." Raina's knees nearly gave out. She knelt before Maya, tears welling. "No, baby," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm your mommy, too." Maya stared at her for a long, silent moment, then reached out, her small hand brushing Raina's cheek. "Home?" she asked, the word so soft it was almost a breath. "Yes, sweet girl," Raina choked out. "Home." They hugged, a true embrace, not as strangers but as mother and daughter, their souls knitting together after 6 stolen years. Raina clung to Maya, memorizing the weight of her, the warmth, the reality of her. She didn't let go until a caseworker gently tapped her shoulder, signaling the visit's end. 3 weeks later, as Raina and the girls began to find a fragile rhythm, a letter arrived. It was slipped into her mailbox, no return address, the handwriting shaky and uneven. Raina's stomach churned as she opened it, the paper trembling in her hands. The letter began, "Ms. Monroe, if you're reading this, you've discovered the truth. I was the night nurse the night your twins were born. The words spilled out in a torrent of guilt and confession. The nurse described the chaos of that night, the understaffed NICU, the alarms, the wrong baby carried away in the confusion. She'd realized her mistake weeks later when Maya's abandonment story hit the local news, but fear, of lawsuits, of losing her job, of facing the unimaginable, kept her silent. Now, dying of stage 4 cancer, she had nothing left to lose but her conscience. She ended the letter with a plea: I hope someday Laya and Maya will always be together, like they were meant to be. Raina sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. She remembered the birth bracelets she'd ordered for her twins, engraved with their names, Laya and Maya, always together. The memory was a knife, twisting in her chest. She marched the letter to the foster board the next day, her resolve unshakable. Weeks of court dates, interviews, and evaluations followed. Raina faced skeptical caseworkers, endless questions about her ability to care for 2 children, her finances, her stability. She answered every question with fierce determination, her love for Maya fueling her through the exhaustion. Finally, the call came. Ms. Monroe, the caseworker said, her voice warm. Your petition for full and permanent custody of Maya has been approved. Raina collapsed onto the couch, laughter and tears mingling. That evening, Maya stepped through the front door, a small suitcase in hand. Raina dropped to her knees, her arms open. This is your forever home, she whispered. Maya didn't answer. She simply ran into Raina's arms, her small body fitting perfectly against her mother's. They held each other, the weight of 6 years dissolving in that embrace. That night, Raina dusted off Laya's old baby book, its pages half filled with milestones and memories. She taped in a new photo, taken just the day before, Laya and Maya, their heads tilted together, their smiles radiant. Beneath it, she scribbled, Day 2191, Maya came home. As the girls played in the backyard, their laughter floating through the golden sunset, Raina watched from the porch, a hand resting on her heart. She thought of the years lost, the milestones missed, first steps, first words, first birthdays. But she also thought of grace, of second chances, of a love that had never let go. Girls, she called, her voice breaking with joy. Come inside. Dinner's ready. Hand in hand, Laya and Maya ran toward her, their laughter soaring across the yard, across time, across all the pain. Twin souls, one family, and one mother who had never stopped believing. Maya had found her way home.